All right, it is a done deal. Principals of NASA have finally signed a coalition agreement. This is going to be their vehicle into the elections of August 8th, general election. And of course, they are yet to name their flag bearer, which they say they will do in March. They've also cancelled the rally that was supposed to be held today at the Givenchy Gardens. Instead, they will hold their first rally as NASA officially in Eldoret over the weekend on a Saturday. NASA has agreed on a seven-point pillar that will be the issues they will be discussing during the campaign period, and they expect that this will steer them into the government after the August 8th general election. So that is an event we have been bringing to you live from the Okoa Kenya offices in Lavington, as the four principals, Raila Odinga, Musalia Mudavadi, Moses Wetangula, and Kalonzo Musyoka, have officially signed a coalition agreement and agreed to work together, but they will be naming the flag bearer in March this year. So stick it to us here as we continue giving you more details on the same. And as I'd mentioned, the rally that was supposed to be held today at Givenchy Gardens has been cancelled. Instead, they will hold a rally on Saturday in Eldoret, their maiden rally as a legal and political entity, which is the National Super Alliance that is expected to go head-to-head with the Jubilee Party come the August 8th general election. All right, and away from that, hundreds of lecturers this morning took to the streets of Nairobi to pile pressure on the government to agree to their pay demands. The Dons marched from the University of Nairobi Graduation Square to Parliament and later on to the Ministry of Education headquarters. Let's take a look at what happened earlier on in the day. All right, and instead of that, let's just go live and take a look at what the lecturers are up to currently, and an address being made there. Let's just listen in.
Left out from any review of basic salaries, housing allowances scheme. Academic staff in Kenyan public universities are overworked and underpaid, with detriment in effect in staff morale, research, teaching, and innovation output. The pay structure of academic staff is characterized by large salary overlaps, stagnation within current grades, and poor current progress plans, leading to low retention of human resources and a massive brain drain from public universities to foreign countries and other sectors. Unless the situation is addressed, there is impending collapse of the higher education sector in Kenya. Now, the consideration that we have is the academic staff in all public universities, represented by UASU since 2012, persistently requested the IPUCCF to negotiate a CBA for the period 2013-2017. The university education is not devolved function, and the universities receive funding from the National Treasury through the Ministry of Education, Science and Technology. UASU attempted to jumpstart the negotiation in 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, and 2017, but on each occasion, the negotiations stalled at the instigation of IPUCCF. That following the industrial action by UASU and subsequent intervention by the Cabinet Secretary, Ministry of Education, UASU met the IPUCCF for negotiations, and an offer of 10 billion has been made for the 2013-2017 CBA cycle to cover basic salary, house allowance, and pension for all public university workers, represented by UASU, KUSU, and KUDHIA, who currently number approximately 30,000. Simulations show that 10 billion offer translates to an increment of 3.2.
Our reporter Timothy Otieno is currently at Jogoo House. He will be bringing us up to speed with some of the demands that the lecturers have of the government later on in the program. But let's quickly cross over to Somalia. Today is the inauguration of the president, and currently President Uhuru Kenyatta, who is in attendance, is making an address there live in Mogadishu. Let's cross over there.
For the successful conduct of your elections, you have made our region, the continent of Africa, and those that cherish peaceful transition of power across the world very proud. Similarly, allow me to take this early opportunity to express my appreciation to the outgoing President, His Excellency Hassan Sheikh Mahmoud, my friend and brother, for the achievements of his administration over the last 4 years. I particularly want to single out his statesmanship that facilitated a peaceful and orderly transfer of power from one administration to another. The successful elections and peaceful transfer of power is a clear demonstration of the desire and ability of the people of Somalia to make their own decisions, to strengthen governance, and to build sustainable peace. Your Excellencies, since assuming office in 2013, my administration has worked closely with the federal government of Somalia. Based on discussions held during the state visit by President Hassan Sheikh in 2013, we have deepened and expanded our bilateral relations. Today, I wish to reaffirm the commitment of my administration to continue building on the sound bilateral relations that exists between our two nations and our two peoples. It is therefore my earnest hope, and that of the people of Kenya, that the new administration will work with us to consolidate gains made and expand as well as deepen areas of cooperation. Your Excellency, you assume office at a time of great expectation for Somalia. The Somali people have spoken and have great expectations of your administration. This is both here and in the diaspora. There is no doubt that Somalia has turned the corner, and we, as your neighbors, rejoice in this reality. However, Mr. President, you also assume office as we are faced with enormous challenges. We are in a fragile region that is currently engulfed by a severe drought. We are collaborating also to restore regional stability. Our region is threatened by many external interests, including foreign terrorist actors and agents, and we face the threat of transnational and cross-border crimes. I am confident and pray that God will grant you strength, wisdom, and courage to deal with these challenges together with us. In this regard, I want to assure you once again, Mr. President, of Kenya's support. My administration will remain steadfast in our contribution towards the search for sustainable peace in Somalia and the realization of the aspirations of our brothers and sisters, including reconciliation and sustainable peace. It is in the light of this that Kenya is part of the African mission in Somalia, and we shall continue to work with other AMISOM troop-contributing countries, as well as the international community, to create an enabling environment for reconstruction, development, and sustainable peace in Somalia. Kenya also remains committed to the realization of a peaceful, stable, and prosperous region. And I therefore call upon the Intergovernmental Authority on Development, the African Union, and the international community to focus attention on Somalia and extend the necessary support to the new administration. A stable and prosperous Somalia will play a significant role in regional security, development, and prosperity. In conclusion, let me reiterate my delight at sharing this historic moment and to reaffirm to you, Mr. President, and the people of Somalia of Kenya's commitment to continue walking side by side with your government in ensuring security, prosperity, and development for all our peoples and our region. Somalia, Hanolato, I thank you and God bless you. Asante sana.
President Uhuru Kenyatta there just finishing his address during the official inauguration of President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo of Somalia, reiterating the support of neighbors like Kenya, even as Kenya continues to support the fight against Al-Shabaab. And the president says they will continue supporting and contributing troops to AMISOM until they ensure that Somalia is back with has attained peace in its totality, and that is happening live from Mogadishu. We will be bringing you more details later on. But let's come back into the country, where hundreds of lecturers this morning took to the streets of Nairobi to pile pressure on the government to agree to their pay demands. The Dons marched from the University of Nairobi Graduation Square to Parliament and later on to the Ministry of Education headquarters. Let's take a look at what happened earlier on in the day.
Go straight to Matiang'i and ask him one question. Why is it that you have allowed the vice chancellors to torment and really harass our lecturers in public universities? As the minister, the CS Education allowed his officers down there to harass the doctors? No. The answer is? No. There is a lot of total harassment, and we condemn those harassments, particularly the one taking place in Chuka, Kimathi University, Garissa, and others. We condemn them in the contempt it deserves. So ask Matiang'i, was he given the power by the president to come and negotiate with the lecturers or to sack lecturers? We are ready to be sacked, all of us. We are slightly over 8,000. We are ready to be sacked. Kwa hivyo watupatie barua zote le? Barua 8,000. Na nyinyi muzibanduke. We are going at the end of the day to sign a very well worked out back to work formula that will protect even those who have already gotten the letters. I am being sacked 5 times. This is going to be the 7th. Na kwa hivyo tutaru. Lecturers are not quacks that you can fight them on the streets. Kwa hivyo musipatiane raitise. Tunaenda kuelekea kule na watu wa press, andikeni kile kinatakikana. Kitu ya muhimu ni we are not ready to take 0% on salary, basic salary.
We're wrapping up on that note for KTN home viewers as they continue with their normal programming. But remember, we continue with this bulletin, the second bit of it on KTN News. Our sign language interpreter has been William Silla, and I am Akisa Wandera. Good afternoon. See you in a bit.
Hii game ni jasho. Hii game ni moves. Hull City versus the SportPesa All-Stars. Broadcast live from the KCOM Stadium in the UK on Monday, the 27th of February at 9:30 p.m.
Brenda?
Absent.
John?
Absent.
Why are so many children absent? Children have become weaker these days. Weaker? No. When you were young, was stomach infection so severe? No. Children have not become weaker. Infection-causing germs have become stronger. Oh, that's why new Lifebuoy with Active Natural that protects from today's stronger germs. Wow, 100% attendance. Yeah. New Lifebuoy, stronger soap for stronger germs.
Blaze, be your own boss. You've experienced the summits, you have learned to earn, and now, are you ready for Kenya's biggest TV show? Coming to your screens, Blaze, Be Your Own Boss brings you 12 of Kenya's brightest and most ambitious young people to find out who will be the last boss standing. Meet the contestants, listen to their ideas, watch them as they take part in the most grueling business tasks with some of the biggest names in Kenyan business. Experience their journey as they develop their business ideas. And finally, witness them seek to win funding for their businesses and mentorship. Blaze, Be Your Own Boss.
On Monday, 27 February at 9:30 p.m., history will be made at Hull City's KCOM Stadium in the UK. A Kenyan team, SportPesa All-Stars, will for the first time ever play against an English Premier League side. Hull City Football Club. Join SportPesa in making history. Catch all the action live on KTN. Hii game ni yetu.
Sasa tukasikia mapunduki kilia bande hii.
Sijaenda hospitali tangu madaktari walikuwa sasa sijawahi rudi tena.
Hawa sio kushunga wanashunga, ni kuiba wanaiba.
I wanted to dispute the impression that there is insecurity in Laikipia.
Serikali akasoma, hata akasoma mlango ya nyumba na mimi niko ndani ya nyumba.
Watoto anaanza kupiga nduru, alikuwa anafikiria anapika sisi na hiyo risasi imeketi yote hivi.
Wakaanza kuua wanyama kutoka hapo, kila siku ni gunshots kila mahali.
Ng'ombe ilianza kuingia na poaching ikaanza kuwa very high.
Hii shida ni kama iko na influence pia ya kisiasa.
Welcome back. You are watching KTN Newsdesk. Officials of the Kenya Medical Practitioners and Dentists Unions appeared before a joint sitting of the National Assembly's Health Committee and Social Welfare to make a case for the implementation of the contentious collective bargaining agreement. The officials have accused the government of not being serious in resolving the impasse. They appeared earlier on before that particular committee, but currently appearing is Mark Bor, a former permanent secretary of the Health Ministry. Let's cross over there and listen in.
You sign it, you carry the burden of the government into a process that was not complete, knowing that, but you signed the document, Mr. Bor.
Yeah. Chair, and Mr. Bor, you know you've made a statement there that you signed this document because the government had not constituted, or we say the PS and the CS. Yet at the same time, you are telling us that the time you were signing this document, already there was a PS, a principal secretary, and a CS, which means the office had already been constituted. And you are signing when already we had substantive officers holding those positions.
Chair.
Let us have the authority. If there was,
that is the authority we want to know. No, there could have been maybe an authority from the executive. We want to know. We want to know.
That's the authority we want. A normal story is what we just want is the authority Just that, and then now, then we release you.
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I'm just worried about what is emerging on this. In a document that the ministry wanted executed. This is a document which captured what had been agreed and what had not been agreed.
You were not the PS that time. Who gave you the authority to sign the document? Well, that's what we want to see.
And what is the practice?
And to see the authenticity. How you could have signed purporting to be a PS, public health and sanitation.
Chair, let me explain this.
The problem is that what is happening with Bor is going round and round.
Chair,
we are avoiding actually to answer the question which has been asked as a very straightforward question.
Chair, this is what I'm saying. Just a quick, Mr. Bor, we are not being asked about, listen, the issues which are bedeviling the doctors are real. That's the first thing. So, but the issues that have taken a legal tangent are as a resultant of your signature. So you're separating the two issues. The issues confronting the doctors are real. They ought to be addressed yesterday because they are pertinent to this country. But what is important is the starting point. Because if you read that petition which is before us, there's a biggest question which is of utmost good faith. And this is what we're trying to establish. At what point did the breakdown of utmost good faith take place? That is what takes us forward in trying to arbitrate these issues between the union and the government. So it's very important that the resultant answers that you're going to give are going to shed light into that. Thank you. Chair.
But I think this is something that is straightforward. I want Mr. Bor to confront that question.
Yes.
And not to take us about the stories that happened behind and what. The issue is here. You deal with this part, and then we release you.
Mr. Chairman, the only way to deal with this part, in good faith and very honestly, this document was meant to be a template for finalization of a document that would be signed by the Ministry of Health. So it is just a fact that we were only owning what we had negotiated and what had been agreed up to that point. But this was a document in progress. It was a document being finalized.
Do you have records of that? Do you have records of that?
Members, let us be orderly because you know if you look at what is written here, it is a collective bargaining agreement between the Ministry of Health, Republic of Kenya, and Kenya Medical Practitioners, Pharmacists, and Dentists Union. It is a collective bargaining agreement. There is no way it is written. It is a provisional document.
Chairman, have you taken away my word? Can I ask?
I've taken your mouth. So it is a document that actually does not talk of it being provisional or transitional.
Honorable Chair, if I may ask. Yes.
Now I'm going to give a chance to my Vice Chair.
Chair, when you look at this is the point of contention, and this is the reason why the doctors are on strike. And Mark Bor signed this document knowing very well that he was signing a document which he did not have the powers to do so. Chair, Mark Bor introduced himself as the chairman of the Board of Management of Kenyatta National Hospital, which is a premier hospital. Can you imagine a situation where he is managing a huge hospital like that, and with this kind of doubts that he's raised here? This raises on issues of integrity, Chapter 6 of our Constitution. And I think it needs what the Honorable Member for Aldai, Serem, said about him being sworn in to give evidence, because this is somebody who should even be sued. He's not fit to hold any public office. I think this is a very serious matter, Chair, that we should take with it
the seriousness with which this
I want you to continue ventilating. There's something I'm still looking at in the standing orders.
Chair, I think the most it's the authority. We just need the authority
Can
and
you
the
please
minutes.
tell us where you got the authority
Yes.
to sign this document from? I think that will help these committees.
Honorable Chair, in office situations, as I was in the Ministry of Health, there was a cabinet secretary already appointed, and there were issues that had to be handed over by myself, which were pending there, and this included the issue of the human resource and the contentious issues that were bedeviling the ministry. And the cabinet secretary asked me, Mr. Bor, don't go away without resolving this doctor's issue. Get us to a point where we can move. Yes. So as I was doing this, we were doing a document which would facilitate the preparation of another document following agreement. This was not the final document. And if it were, the doctors would not have signed it, because what is contained in that document is against the doctors. It was not giving any shilling in terms of salary or allowance. The doctors would not have accepted.
Okay.
It would not. It doesn't favor.
Well, I think we have a problem here, honorable members, and let's hear the Honorable Serut, and we hear Dr. Nikal. You need to give more water, please. Our Secretariat, can you please give more water to Mr. Bor?
Chair, I want Mr. Mark Bor to look at me. I think he is busy discussing with the chairman, Council. Chair, I am addressing this question. This question is, I'm addressing it to Mr. Bor through you, Chair. Chair, my first question is that he says the document he signed is not this one. The document he signed is a document in progress and not a CPA. That's what he says. Just hold on, members. Why don't you allow me to follow up my question? If you did sign a different document from this one, can we then get the one you signed and declare this one a forgery? That is my first question. Two, if this document you signed was not a CPA, but it was a document similar to this one, do you hold a copy of authority? Because you have said you signed while not in office. Your services had been terminated. Do you have written authority that this particular document be signed by you? Because that is what is required. You are no longer an officer in that office, but you went ahead to sign. Thank you.
And Chair, when he states that this document does not contain anything to do with the salaries, when you look at on page 13, Article 4, it talks about remuneration. It talks about the basic salary. It talks of the allowances which have been put there, and it talks of increments on the code of based on the code of regulations. What is that?
Can allow me, Chair, I'll answer.
Yes, please.
Honorable members, we are still going to content. We are still going to content. Yes, and we have a fundamental issue here that we're asking whether you had authority to sign this document. You've also told this committee that this is not the document that you signed.
That is the document that I signed. This is the one. Okay. But it was to facilitate activity within the Ministry of Health to register it, sign another one, and register it. That was the understanding. And
Chair, I think.
Let me also ask. I want to ask you another question, Mr. Sir. Let me ask you another question. Are you aware that there was a principal secretary in the Ministry of Health when you signed this document? It's just yes or no answer.
Honorable Chair, I was aware, and it was with the authority that I went ahead to sign this thing.
Okay. You knew that there was a principal secretary, Professor Sigor.
I knew there was Professor Zigor, and he had actually seen these problems, and he wanted me to own some of those issues that had been agreed when I was superintending or under my watch.
Okay.
But then that was only to,
let me ask you,
but that was only to
I'm
facilitate.
asking you this,
yes.
because this document seems to be illegal. Well, look here. We have a problem here, honorable members. We have been told by the doctors that there will be no discussion outside the CBA. I mean, that puts this petition we are put in a difficult situation here. Two, on the 27th of June 2013, there is no Ministry of Public Health and Sanitation. We have a Ministry of Health. We have a Ministry of Health with one Professor Sigor as the principal secretary, and the CS Macharia. Mr. Bor signs a CBA on behalf of the ministry as a permanent secretary. And you know that the word permanent secretary does not exist. This ministry doesn't exist. We have the Ministry of Health. We would like you now to tell this committee whether it was in order for you to sign this document.
Honorable Chair, that document was never intended to be registered the way...
Chair, we cannot deal, Chair. This point has to come across very clearly. You know, we are dealing with the first prayer by the petitioners, which is of utmost good faith. We cannot negate this particular issue. So what is emerging in the way it has been explained is that either the ministry under the stewardship of Mr. Macharia and Sigor were duping the doctors into believing that there was actually a bona fide CBA being signed. You know, that has to be very clear. That these were only, so they set forth Mr. Bor to go and articulate their signature on something which did not exist in the first place. And they were simply hiding over technicalities in the hope that this thing is going to be sent away. I think the witness ought to be stood down and be able to interrogate the principal secretary at the time, Professor Sigor, and also the CS Macharia, to be able to establish to what level were they engaged to this particular breakdown in utmost good faith in engaging the union doctors. Mr. Chair, we need to be able to move that.
Last one. Members, what is emerging actually, you are asking the same questions.
It's not a question, Chairman.
And Mr. Bor is actually evading answering the questions, which are so direct.
Chairman.
It's a very simple thing. You sign this document as the permanent secretary, Ministry of Public Health and Sanitation, which at that particular time did not exist. Now, you were not the PS. And even if you say that this document that was signed was meant to be a provisional document, where is that evidence? Where is that evidence that it was meant to be provisional when the document itself is actually a final document?
Chairman,
I want to make a ruling.
Yes.
I just want to make a ruling.
Chairman, before the ruling. Chairman, before you rule, I have a... Chairman, before you make a ruling, in June of 2013, there was a rumor that there's one PS who refused to leave office. There was a rumor. Two, Chairman.
Rumors.
Yes.
No, it's in the house.
Okay.
I want you to withdraw that word rumor.
You can confirm, Chairman. In 2013,
say there was talk.
There was. It's in public domain that there was a PS that refused to leave office. Wait, let me proceed. Chairman, we want to be told how many contracts that you signed when you had left office. We'll now move beyond this because, Chairman, this is a very serious problem. How long were you in office? Were you paid when you were in office? By the time you are signing the same document, were you earning any salary? If you are given a contract by the PS, do you have any documents to prove the same, Mr. Bor? Number three, Chairman, can we know who is Mr. Bor? Who are you? Tell us now, who are you?
Chair.
We could be, you know why I'm saying this, Chairman? In my county, we receive a doctor, a fake doctor. We could be actually dealing now with a fake PS, so that we don't have to be in a problem that we were in my county. Can we know who is Mr. Bor?
Mr. Bor, now we want to finalize this. We want to finalize this because I want to make a ruling. And maybe because Dr. Nyikal was the PS before Mr. Bor, let's give him that last opportunity to make a ruling.
Chair, let me make a statement. This country is messing itself because it does not follow processes. And procedures. The same thing with devolution. The lawyer there just told us we didn't follow the Transition to Devolve Government Act. We are still suffering from that. What I asked, what was the transition arrangement? We would have expected that my colleague, actually I handed over to you, so I would have expected that he would hand over. But even when you hand over, there may be an arrangement that you have handed over, but this thing, we want you to complete it. At that time, the PS and the CS in question take the responsibility because they have assigned the work. Therefore, we cannot have a situation where he was working there, and now we want to make it look like this matter ended, it's a dead end, it's a stillborn because the person who did it didn't do it legally. No. The people who asked him, and he has said repeatedly, the CS knew and the principal secretary knew. So now, let that say. So what we really want to establish, as he was working on this thing, did those two people know? And was he in an office sitting there? And will the PS and the CS say they are not aware that the former PS is still sitting here and they are not raising an issue as to what he's doing? That would be tantamount to hoodwinking the profession. So I think we'll need to know, but even after we have agreed that PS acted improperly, that does not kill the document. Because there are people he was acting under in that ministry who then take responsibility. The Honorable Ngwe here knows it was a PS. When you hand over, and there's a time you say, okay, you're handing over, but this particular issue, we want you to carry it through to its end and give us a report. And so we well, even if it is, but I'm saying.
I think Honorable Nyikal.
No, but let me end my point. We asked Bor the same questions. Was he acting with the knowledge of the two PSs? With delegation. And we want to know that.
Nyikal, that question has been asked repeatedly to Mr. Bor, and he has avoided answering it. And even if it happened the way you are explaining, if he had been given the task to complete, he still didn't have authority to sign. Yes. He can be given that he need to complete it and give it now to the bona fide PS to sign, not him signing. It cannot work like that. So I want to make a ruling. And in my ruling, I'm finding Mr. Bor to be a hostile witness, because actually he refused to respond to the questions that we've asked him. And because of that, we'll ask him to leave, because you've taken so much of our time and actually answered nothing. You are taking us round and round, and we are going to look for recourse on how to deal with you. Yeah, because you've taken a lot of our time and said nothing here. So please, may you leave.
Mr. Chair, if you could allow me to say something. Yes, sir.
No.
All right. Thank you.
No. I've already given the orders that he leaves so that we deal with the Council of Governors. Because the governors were supposed to be here by noon. It's now 2 o'clock, and you know the House resumes at 2:30. and we are supposed to be there also at 2:30. So we only have 35 minutes.
Chair,
with the governors.
Chair, with your guidance.
Wait until let Mr. Bor leave.
Walk out. No, I agree with the ruling. I just want to how we proceed. Chair, as he walks out, I would want to ask your guidance. You know, the primal basis of us being here, of the petition, was a document CBA. So even before proceeding and listening to the Council of Governors, I think it is important for us to be able to clarify to what extent was the CS at the time and the PS at the time aware of this document prior to continuing, I think, with the Council of Governors. I think that will make a lot more informed progress as we move on. Chair, I seek your guidance on that.
Well,
the Senate Health and Welfare Committee, they're trying to get to the bottom of the issue with the doctors, the government and the county government. Remember, the doctors' strike is now about 80 days and there's still no deal in sight. Currently, they were speaking or grilling former Health Principal Secretary Mark Bor on the signing of the collective bargaining agreement, which the government has time and again labeled as illegal. But doctors have pegged their hopes in this particular agreement, which was signed in 2013, and they are insisting on its implementation before they go back to work, or a formula in which this particular agreement will be signed or implemented. But of course, Mark Bor has told that particular committee that yes, he did sign a CBA document, but it was not in finality. It was a document in progress that would give birth to another document. So in essence, he signed a document in progress, and members of parliament were trying to get to the bottom of it on why things happened the way they did. They're also expected to speak to Council of Governors. We can see Governor Peter Munya also in sight, so they will be among the next group to be grilled by the Senate Health and Social Welfare Committee as they try to get to the bottom of the issue. Remember, the LSK and the Kenya National Human Rights Commission are the team that is the team that is mediating the talks between the government and the doctors' union officials for them to go back to work. They are expected to report back to the court on Friday and file the report they will have. Currently, there's a break. Both parties have been given a break to just go back to their people and discuss how this is going to pan out. So there's a lot of things that are surrounding this particular doctor strike, but here on KTN News, we continue keeping tabs on the talks between the government and the doctors' union officials. We are also taking a look at what is happening at the Senate. The legislators there making any headway in their grilling sessions, and of course we will definitely be bringing more information on that. We wrap it up on that note. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN Newsdesk. Up next, let's take a look at the top stories of the hour on Newstruck before we pave way for business today. Our sign language interpreter has been William Silla, and I am Akisa Wandera. A very